Hi, I'm Darr, President and CEO of the Cruise Lines International Association. I'm here in Miami today, and I really have the privilege to be here with three leaders in the luxury segment for the cruise industry. And we're going to talk a little bit about the experience their segment is having, how it interacts with CLIA, and market conditions in general for them, and the outlook for, as they see it, the cruise ships that they're responsible for. So I'm really pleased, Ken Muskat, President for USA and Latin America for the Scenic Group, and Belinda Hindmarsh, who is the Deputy CEO for Ponant, and Chris Prelog, who is the President of Windstar Cruises. So real pleasure to be here with you today. Thanks for taking a little time. I really wanted to take an opportunity while I had this chance to highlight the small vessel and unaffiliated operators, and particularly in the luxury segment. So Ken, you and I have known each other for quite some time, and we worked together at a previous company, in full disclosure, but tell me a bit about yourself. How did you get into the cruise industry in the first place?
Well, the first thing I want to say is I'm really excited that we're doing this because I think the small ships and the luxury and ultra luxury is the category to be in now. So I'm excited for all of us because it is the most booming, exciting category to be in. So happy we're talking about it. I got started in the industry really truthfully by mistake. I graduated college in communications, thought I was going to go into advertising, public relations. I was born and raised in Miami. I came back to Miami from college. I started sending my resume out to all the big companies that are based here, one of which was Royal Caribbean. They were the first ones to call and say, hey, we have a entry-level job for you. I ended up starting in the entertainment department and working with them on casting singers and dancers, which I know nothing about. But that's how I started in the industry, and it was actually cool because I spent a lot of time on board because of the role. So I really got to understand the importance of the crew and the whole shipboard shoreside dynamic. And from there, I just kept moving up into different positions at Royal Caribbean. I had a stint at MSC Cruises for a while. I did a joint venture in China, and now ended up at Scenic for the last 3 years.
Well, outstanding. Belinda, how about you? How did you get involved in this industry?
I would say similar to Ken, I kind of fell into cruising by chance. I've always worked in the travel industry, but had never been on a cruise ship before. Can you believe that? Before I had the experience of going on board a small ship, one of our Ponant ships, and seeing how incredible that experience is. I grew up in New Zealand, and I had some pretty preconceived ideas about cruising and sustainability. And so it really took me going on board one of these smaller vessels and experiencing firsthand how that intimate experience can be really incredibly rewarding in terms of where you can go, giving access to kind of uncharted destinations. And it completely changed my mind in terms of what we have to offer. And I would agree with Ken, it's such an incredible, exciting segment to be in right now.
Well, Chris, how about you?
Well, it's been a minute since I've joined the cruise industry, and just like my two colleagues here, I just wanted to get out of Austria, to be honest, and I just wanted to explore the world. I was trained in hotel school and started on one of our ships in 1997 as a frontline waiter, and I was doing such a good job that I was immediately demoted into the dishwasher for a while because my English wasn't very good. But after a bit of a it's always a speed bump somewhere, right? I really started enjoying it. What is, to me, the best part about the cruise industry is the community, is how we all work together, and really the representation between crew and guests. And for me, every day, what helps me do, at least hopefully, a good job is I understand what's happening on board. I have a good relationship with our guests in terms of how they perceive the product. And I think over the years and the experience I've made on the ships has really helped shape certainly Windstar Cruises here and my experience in the industry. So I thoroughly enjoy it.
Chris, I'm going to come back to you for a second, if you don't mind. And I love those stories, by the way, of people that came up organically. And there's a couple of large cruise lines that also have CEOs that have, as you know. I think it's just great. But I don't think we'd be seeing this massive interest in the luxury and ultra luxury segment if there wasn't an evolution of guest expectations. And could you maybe talk to that a little bit? I was on your latest christening here in Miami fabulous ship, great experience. Everybody seemed to really have great excitement over this new ship. How are things changing?
Yeah, I think the luxury market, well, first of all, I have to say, like, the word luxury is a bit overused these days because there's I mean, what is really luxury, right? There's so many different categories now in luxury where, you know, luxury means for many guests different things. For us, it is really like, it's like being laid back, it's being really in charge of your own time. You can be as busy as you want, you can be as relaxed as you want, and then you take the biggest, in my perspective, and I'm a little biased of course here, the biggest part of Windstar, which is, you know, the crew, and you add that to it, it creates that experience where guests keep on coming back. The market is certainly evolving, and the one thing I would say today's traveler in every category, to be honest, is looking for is a frictionless experience. There's a real shift in that market where, you know, what you can control versus what you can't control. We can't control how long you wait at the airport to get to the flight, right? But we can control how the booking experience is, your interaction before you actually join the ship, how you join the ship, and of course the onboard experience and then post-cruise. And I think the travelers today, they look for the holistic experience to be frictionless.
Well, Belinda, I've always admired the styling of Ponant ships. I mean, they've got a really cool visual aesthetic design to them. But what's your experience with guest expectations and the evolution of that? You've still expanded your fleet quite a bit and your product offerings, right?
No, for sure, and thank you for that. Indeed, they're beautiful ships. We're very proud of them. But I would agree with Chris, it goes well beyond the hardware in terms of what guests are looking for today. For sure, they're looking for personalization, which is a big topic in itself. But they're also looking for those really curated, immersive experiences. That is really what defines luxury for us. It's about access to unique destinations, to authentic cultural experiences. It's really taking people on board and letting them feel the emotion of not just the experience on board, but also ashore and all of those different activities that we can offer them, which perhaps they wouldn't be able to reach if it wasn't for the type of voyage that we're creating for them.
Well, I know you both are operating different types of ships within your own fleets, right? You have both sailing ships and motor ships, and you have some expedition and some that are not really geared towards that. Ken, you have river cruise and kind of a yacht type of offering, right, as well on the ocean-going side. What's your experience with the evolution of guest expectations and how you manage that?
Yeah, I mean, I think very similar in definitely guests now are looking for the emotional connection to the crew, to the fellow guests on board, to the communities that they visit. There's far more focus on, you know, I think in the old days when you said luxury or you even said an ultra yacht or super yacht, it was white glove service and stuffy and tuxedos. And now it's really around being more immersed in the culture, being more immersed with the people that are on board, understanding the importance of the sustainability aspect of the cruise line, and really building that storytelling and emotional connection to the communities that are being visited or to the experience that you're having. I think there's also more of a growth in luxury customers today that are looking for traveling with like customers or like guests. So the focus on wellness, the focus on culinary, bringing celebrity chefs on board and photographers on board and sommeliers on board that have a following that you really can learn from, and it's connected with the destination that you're going to, is really what more and more people are looking for. They're looking for a more relaxed atmosphere on board and building those connections, but having more of a true experience on land that is feeding their storytelling and what they're looking for at this stage of their life.
Just things that are more and more authentic.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And my understanding of, I mean, I am who I am, I'm the age I am, but my understanding of Gen Z and the millennials, which have really grown fond of luxury cruising, which surprised us when we saw that trend some years back, they're really willing to pay a premium for those more authentic experiences. Is that what you all are experiencing in your companies? Ken, if you don't mind, I'll come back. Sorry, go ahead.
It's now becoming more attainable. Like it's becoming more well known of these different options like what we have to offer, whether it's river or ocean or expedition, and they're realizing that you don't have to be a multimillionaire and retired in order to enjoy it. So it's far more attainable, and it is what a younger generation is looking for today, to have purpose in their travel.
Interesting. I didn't grow up quite that way. I think it is a generational evolution, and you can serve both ends of that demographic spectrum, right? Belinda, maybe if I could pick up on a couple of points Ken raised and see what your thoughts are, and that is about connection with the communities where the ships are calling and providing genuine value to the communities, and also how you manage your effective and satisfying experience for the guests with sustainability when you think of it in a holistic sense, not just environmental.
Yeah, I think what you're speaking to is actually very much in the heart of what we do. It's very much in Ponant DNA. We are all about exploration, everything exploration, and that really includes what we do ashore and how we engage with local communities. It's a multi-year journey. We have a team that really go out and scout for new opportunities, but we don't go in somewhere lightly. It's really a multi-year commitment when we do that. And obviously it has to be a win-win situation. It has to be win for the community and authentic experiences for our guests. So we have a lot of opportunities. We take our guests all over the globe. As you know, we're in every corner of the globe, constantly roving with our ships. And that means that we can go into Western Greenland with our icebreaker 2 months ahead of the season starting, and actually dropping off fresh food and resources for the local community with our guests on board, which is obviously an incredible experience for both parties. Or it could be working with the First Nations people in Australia on the Western Australian coast of the Kimberley, and it's a long-term commitment. And I think it takes flexibility because the world is ever changing, and how you bring value to those communities can change over time as their needs evolve, as the world continues to change. So it's important to us. It's absolutely core to what we do and what we believe in and why our guests come back.
Well, three of your companies, of course, can go places the bigger ships can't. It probably offers a lot of very interesting opportunities to visit much smaller communities, right? Yeah.
Absolutely. Particularly with the icebreaker, with the capabilities that she has to navigate really off the beaten track and arrive in different seasons from other ships and other polar vessels.
And the local sourcing is so important for the communities as well as the guest experience, which is something that you could do with smaller ships. You can't necessarily do as much local sourcing if you've got a ship of 7,000 people versus a ship coming in of 100 or 200 people. So that's a very nice aspect of having the smaller ships visit these unique communities that we go to.
Chris, could you comment on that same question about how you find that balance of providing the guest experience you're looking for, and but still value to the community and maintaining a sustainability footprint you're comfortable with?
I can, and I think it's very similar to what my colleagues here were saying. We approach it in a way where we go into a destination as well with preparations, but first and foremost, we're listening to the destinations, to the people who actually live there, because we want to enrich people's life on both sides. It should be for the destination, but as well for our guests. So we don't want to overwhelm. We want to contribute and add to the lives of the destination and help support them, whether that's through local purchases or whether that is helping them to create, tours and destination talks, or bring people on board, or even hire locals when the ships are in region. One of the things we are doing is we are staying in regions now much more focused. So we're actually not leaving anymore. Several destinations in the Windstar program, we stay all year long. And that changes the game, because now you're part of the community. And now you have to really go out there and listen to what the community needs and wants. And that may also change over time, because technology is changing, everything is changing. So you have to be all the time there. And I think that's a real win for small ship cruises, because you don't only have to be there when there's high season. You can be there in other seasons too.
Yeah, and you mentioned something that kind of keys me onto another question I had in mind, and that is, as we see, whether it's innovation in a technical sense or innovation in product offerings, what do you see as far as trends go in luxury and ultra-luxury cruising for the future, projecting out a bit?
Yeah, I think people really want to connect, and first of all, they ask the question much more why. Why am I supposed to go there, or why is this a great destination to go there? Secondarily, there's so much more information now available to any traveler out there, where you can almost feel overwhelmed with, like, I want to go to this destination, I want to do some research. You get so much information. So the traveler is more educated than ever before. So creating experiences for our guests where they actually really get to see the destination, not just check the box. I've been in Barcelona, I've been in these beautiful areas of the world, but actually I stayed and I experienced it. And, you know, experiential types of programs, what we see is the future. People don't want to sit as much anymore in the bus and go to different locations to see a site. They want to be in the site, they want to feel it, and they want to have an emotional connection with it. That's what we see, and I think that's where the future is going to head. What is a big part of this, and I think the cruise industry, I mean, look at the cruise industry. Its change is constant. I mean, we're changing tomorrow the port to something else, right? I mean, talk about an industry being adaptable and ready for change. The cruise industry is sort of setting the example there. AI is going to change us, and we all got to jump on, and we're all got to figure it out and have to be agile, because our guests are going to use AI go forward, and so we need to be ready for that. And what that changes will be interesting to see in the future.
Yeah, interesting comments. Belinda?
Yeah, no, I think I fully agree with what you're saying, Chris, around there's a lot of options out there, and we're continuing to educate our guests or potential guests about the choices that are there. And I see this divergence happening between luxury cruising being what I would call luxury hospitality at sea, and the kind of floating palaces, if you will, and then that more experiential, more explorational type luxury traveling on board some of our vessels, because they're two different things. That hospitality at sea is fantastic because it's bringing challenges to all of us to raise our standards in terms of what our hospitality on board looks like. And it's also opening up new markets for us, new potential customers who are coming to cruise for the first time. So I think that's going to be a whole segment of its own, and then there'll be that more explorational travel that we see within kind of our segment. That will be, in my opinion, much clearer soon as things evolve. But I also think who's going to be on board is going to change in the future. We're seeing a lot more younger travelers, a lot more solo travelers coming on board, traveling alone. And I think we'll continue to see that evolve as well in terms of who we have on board.
Ken?
I agree, obviously, and I think, you know, from an AI perspective, it's going to have a big impact on the pre, during, and post journey. There's going to be a lot that AI plays in just the reservation process, understanding our guests, understanding the entire guest journey and how to customize the experience for that guest. I think the products themselves will be in the future even more than today designed for the destination. So today we've got ships that visit certain destinations, whether it's Iceland or Antarctica, with helicopters and subs, because that's how people want to visit those destinations.
So the future for me in submarines and cruise too. Okay.
Well, yeah, and we have that now, and it'll get even more. And then you know, even on our Emerald yachts, for example, they're doing warm weather, so the opposite of what our Scenic Eclipse ships are doing, and they're being specifically designed, whether it's the hardware, whether it's the decor on board, for the Caribbean, for the Seychelles, for those kinds of experiences, or destinations, I should say. So I think the whole feeling that you get on board and the amenities on board, whether it's from the culinary side, from the wellness side, from the activity side, is going to match more and more the destinations that we're going to, because that's what people are looking for. I don't think people are looking so much anymore for how many restaurants do you have on board? What is the size of the spa? What is the size of the gym? But what can you actually do with it? And how is it being integrated into the destination that's making this, again, a storytelling experience and a very unique experience?
Well, I want to kind of wrap, we're getting kind of close to our allotted time, and I'm sorry about that, because I could have this conversation all day with you all if you give me the time. I'm not asking you what is your favorite destination. I'll be very clear, because we love all the destinations, I'm sure. But could each of you just share briefly an extraordinary experience that you had at a destination where your brand calls? Maybe I'll start with you, Ken.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many, like you said, but I think one of my favorite was sailing on Scenic Eclipse into Seville. So, because you go down this river, which you typically are not on a larger ultra luxury super yacht, and you go down this river and this ship is able to dock right in the center of town. You just walk right across the street and there you are in the center of everything. So I think the whole approach going down the river is unique, and then all of a sudden you're, you know, on this larger ship in a, well, larger for us, in a middle of a beautiful city and historic town. So that one I just love sailing into.
Belinda?
So funny enough, I'm going to go river as well. Last year I had the pleasure of sailing up the frozen St. Lawrence River in Quebec into Saguenay, and that was an incredible experience on our luxury icebreaker, Le Commandant Charcot. It felt like,
worst day. It's an extraordinary place,
I
isn't
mean,
it?
it was amazing. It felt like landing on the moon. You know, you're literally sailing into this ice fishing village with thousands of ice huts everywhere, and everyone was like kind of terrified and scrambled away. Right, they all kind of went away, and then we stopped the ship, and everyone came back and came closer and came to have a look. And there was such incredible hospitality and warmth from the community, and it was just a unforgettable experience.
I'm going back to Saguenay. I haven't been there in a while. In about 6 weeks. I'm looking forward to it. Although I won't have the experience you had. Chris?
Yeah, well, so difficult to guess where I'm gonna say, but you can take me to Tahiti any day. It's the perfect package to me. I mean, as Ken and Belinda were saying, there's so many beautiful destinations out there, and it's really hard to pinpoint one. But as my family would tell me, Chris, Tahiti is your happy place. And the reason it's because it's the blend. It's where I believe cruise and destination and guests and crew and the environment harmonize so beautifully on a small ship, where I have not had a guest come home from Tahiti and tell me, Chris, I have a terrible time. It hasn't happened. I mean, even if we had storms there, people had a great time, to be honest. It's like, because you can actually go somewhere else and go sail in a different direction, because it's all so many islands. You can do different things there. And I know you guys have a ship there too. It is really, really special. So, and the people, yeah. I can't wait for July 30 to come along, because that's when I'm there next.
Well, it's been really an interesting conversation for me, and I do mean it. I'd sit here and talk to you all day about this if you'd let me. But we are going to have to wrap up. Could I ask you, maybe I'll start with you, Chris, just if you want to leave one final thought for our viewers out there about the luxury segment that you're in and the future that it holds, what might that be?
Yeah, I think it's been, number one, incredibly cool to be part here, but thank you for hosting us and making small ship cruising and luxury cruising really a point of discussion, because the future really is that there is so many different small ships for you to choose from. It's not anymore about big ships and small ships. It's about, there's a lot of different variety on small ships, and there's a lot of different variety on big ships. And you guys do a good job bringing them all together and really highlighting it to everyone. So there's a lot of options out there, and I think it will continue to grow. We see the order book, we see, you know, lots of different players coming into the market, and that's great, because it will highlight cruising and the variety it offers. So I'm excited about that.
Belinda?
Yeah, I would echo what Chris has said, and just say that realistically we're going to see that growth continue as we see new to cruise coming towards this luxury segment, and I think we're going to have a really key role to play in being able to transform those perceptions, going back to my earlier perceptions about cruise when I hadn't even been inside a cruise ship before joining the industry. And you don't really understand the freedom it offers, and that you are an independent traveler even if you are on board a ship, or you can choose to be. If you want to engage in the excursions and so on, you do so, and if you don't, it's your own free time. And I think I had this kind of mental picture of being held hostage on a massive ship with crowds, and that's not at all what we do. And I think there's more education needed to make sure that we do nurture that prospect, all those new guests out there that still haven't experienced how wonderful it is to be on a small ship and an immersive destination. So very optimistic as well about the growth we see ahead.
Ken?
Agree. I mean, I started the conversation by saying I think it's the most exciting category to be in. A few years ago, river all of a sudden exploded, and now that's become kind of mainstream, and a lot more people know about it. It's getting a younger demographic. It continues to explode. But now the smaller ships and the unique destinations and these often beaten path places that only our ships can go to is really jump starting big time. And I think that's just going to continue. The awareness is out there, the excitement is out there, and it really offers something unique. And like I said at the beginning, it's far more attainable than it used to be. And I think as more and more people and more players come into the industry and raise the awareness around this option, it just further amplifies how exciting our industry is, because there really is something for everybody. But now I think CLIA last year or the year before had a stat that a third of all the ships that are out there are 1,000 berths or less. So for that category of 1,000 berths or less, and our ships are far less than that, to be a third of all the ships that are out there just shows how much growth there has been. And like Chris said, the order book is strong, it continues to grow. So the options are plentiful. And I think there's a lot of people that still don't realize how many options there are and how attainable it is. So having the opportunity to get that message out there is great.
Well, and I'll point out that our data shows that the order book also has about a third represented in 1,000 passengers or smaller. Well, I continue to argue that I probably do have the best job in the world, at least for me. I love doing this, and I've really enjoyed speaking with the three of you, and I really want to thank you sincerely for your engagement with the CLIA community. I, in many roles in life, have been involved in a lot of trade associations, and I've always found you get out of it what you put into it. And I really appreciate you taking some time to speak with us. I appreciate you giving us feedback on how we can help you. And I hope we can continue to get the kind of messages out here about your segment that you've all described. You're obviously very optimistic and very enthusiastic about it. I share that with you, and hopefully you'll see that enthusiasm from me tomorrow at the State of the Industry address. So thank you very much for your time and your comments.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.